On December 11th, 2025, popular Kickstarter MMO Ashes of Creation released to Steam in early access. Less than 2 months later, on January 31st, 2026, creative director and studio co-founder Stephen Sharif resigned with immediate effect. What then followed was a mass layoff of staff, a WARN Act notice filed by Intrepid Studios outlining the closure of the company. A couple of days later, on February 2nd, Ashes of Creation was removed from the Steam store. However, the game servers remained up and running with no clear end date as to when they will get shut down. And with prior information circulating that they haven't been paying their server fees, everyone assumed the servers would close down imminently, causing all players to leave en masse. To a lot of people's surprise, the servers carried on running. However, there was no staff left to manage them. Essentially, Ashes of Creation was on its deathbed, but with no clear time frame as to when it would die. I have played a lot of dead MMOs over the years, and I've played a lot of games which have been abandoned but with the servers left open. But I have never played a MMO that has closed down in such a chaotic way. And that's when I decided that I was going to play Ashes of Creation every day until it eventually died, and during which time I would document the slow and tragic downfall of the servers and the players who were left playing. Of course, assuming anyone would be left playing this tragic title. I wanted to make sure the last face Ashes of Creation saw before it passed away was mine. So if you are a fanboy of Ashes of Creation or just an enjoyer of dead MMOs, then join me on my journey as I document the last days of Ashes of Creation up until its final hours. And if you think Ashes of Creation went out gracefully, well, I have news for you, because it was a slow and painful death, which only a few of us got to witness. So with the intro out the way, let's begin day one of our journey. I think like a lot of people, I just assumed as of the 2nd of February, Ashes of Creation would not be accessible. However, this was not the case. And at 1 AM on a Sunday morning, I had the brain fart to start documenting my time playing Ashes of Creation as it was dying. And to my surprise, the game loaded up as normal, and even the Steam charts were showing that there was about 900 people playing. And furthermore, all the servers were showing as up and running with a very low population. With 1,000 players spread across 7 servers, I honestly didn't know which one to choose. So I opted for US East Resna, as I'd played on it briefly before. And when I say briefly, I mean briefly. I actually opted to play as a new character because I thought it might be an interesting perspective. I picked the cleric class because I didn't know if there'll be any other player around me to actually heal me, so I figured I should become self-sufficient. By the way, the character creator is still pretty basic and awful. And as for my starting location, I figured I should go to the most populated area, which would be the Riverlands. I clicked on create character, and for some reason it took me back to the main menu. I can't remember if this is how it worked before, I'm pretty sure it didn't. And before clicking play, I remembered to adjust some of my graphic settings because UE5 do be janky. And with that, I was ready to jump into the world of Vera. Obviously, assuming it would let me join. And as much as we can all sit here and criticize Ashes of Creation, there's one thing that they did perfectly, and that was the menu music. The load screens do make me laugh because it's all concept art, and technically now it's all concept. Too soon? Last time I was here, it was full of people.
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
It shouldn't really be a surprise that this area is dead because essentially there's no new players coming into the game. All sales had stopped at this point. And I assume anyone left playing this game will be very much past the new starter phase. Surprisingly though, there were people talking in the global chat, so this clearly was a somewhat populated server. And even the conversation they were having seemed to be quite normal. They certainly weren't talking like the game was shutting down anytime soon. It didn't take long for me to notice that the servers weren't quite right. Either the goblins were protesting the closure of the studio,
Stop it. Get some help.
or they'd simply stopped working. For whatever reason, this goblin just simply wasn't retaliating if I used any ranged attacks. But if I did hit them with a close range attack, they did tend to fight back. What was also interesting is just how stuttery the game was, considering I was the only person in the starter zone. And for the love of God, if anyone even comments, "Oh, it's only doing that because it's an alpha," I'm going to find you, come to your house, and punch you in the throat. What do you mean I'm not allowed to threaten people with violence? Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm going to come to your house and tuck you in for bed and read you a nice bedtime story. Is that better? Is that threatening? I honestly don't know if the game was just running bad because it's always run bad, or because the servers were on their way out, potentially. Either way, it didn't seem to be a memory leak, and I'm pretty sure my internet connection was perfectly fine. It truly was a oddity seeing all these goblins spawned in and alive. Usually there's a bunch of new players like killing them, so yeah, kind of weird to see this. And as for Lionhold, I've never seen it this empty in my life. After rebooting my game because it was running like trash, I actually ran into another player. They had noob attire on, so I guess they were still new to the game, or perhaps they were on a second account. And as I went to turn around and speak to this player, the game decided to shit itself. Oh, the joys of playing early access UE5 slop. And that's the last I saw of Chum Guzzler. When standing still, it has to be said the game is pretty good looking. The problem is, the minute you go to fucking move, it just, like I said, shits itself. I ended up changing the graphics settings in the hope that the game would run smoother, and what this actually caused my game to do instead was to freeze. Cue my inner monologue whilst making this recording. The game just is fucking arse, man. He's fucking crashing. What is this fucking shit? So glad it's fucking dead. Jesus fucking Christ. This is like the fucking sloppiest of fucking slop I've ever played. God, eat my ass. Eat my whole entire ass. I genuinely forgot I had the microphone still on. One reboot later, and graphics set to potato, I carried on my adventure. It wasn't just goblins who weren't retaliating to ranged attacks, it was all enemies. So as long as I kept my distance and only casted ranged spells, I was invincible. That's also assuming the enemy I was attacking didn't have any ranged attacks either. So I swapped my one-handed mace out for a spell book and, well, yeah, I never looked back. It's funny because I can hear a river. I'm on a bridge which looks like it goes over a river, but I see no water. And the stupid thing is, this isn't a server issue. It's because I've got global illumination set to low. The global chat was a interesting read. Some people were going about their regular day-to-day tasks, whilst others were asking the big questions like, when will the servers shut down? Unfortunately, I couldn't speak in global chat until I reached level 5, so now I had something to work towards. Whilst in town, I had a sudden brain fart and remembered that these guys actually owe me some cosmetics. And would you believe it, I still didn't have the skin sent out to me. And I won't lie, it's got me feeling a particular way.
All of you lying piece of okay? Son, hope you, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses.
You're good.
Hope you both rot in hell for destroying everyone's lives.
What was funny though, was the cosmetic store was still up and running. And I have to say, I was tempted, but at the same time, it just felt like I'd be throwing cash into the void. I'd already been scammed out of some skins, as you can see here. Do I really want to get scammed twice? For some reason, there was a horse on the roof. Once again, server issue or artistic choice. Hard to say. I carried on with my quest to reach level 5 so I can speak in area chat. To do this, I killed a bunch of goblins for some easy XP. And I also completed some quests. The problem with documenting the downfall of a game which has unexpectedly been abandoned is that it's very unpredictable. This game could close down tomorrow or a few months from now. So should I put 100 hours into the game or 10 minutes? Should I spend my time grinding to max rank? I mean, what would that actually achieve? Should I try and explore the whole map? I mean, that sounds a lot more plausible, but it might also require a lot of questing. What if I arrange a party at the end of 30 days with all the players who are left on the server? Hey buddy, can you pass me the dip? This really did leave the gameplay very open-ended. For the most part, I just wanted to make sure that I logged in every day, assuming I'm not busy. But if anything, I just wanted to have a good comparison of how the servers used to be to what they are now, which is about as dead as I am in this clip. Theoretically, this could be the most populated and least janky I see this game over the next 30 days. And it was already pretty janky. And spoiler alert, the game became very unplayable. Before drawing a close to day one, I made my way over to Avon's End, which is a little crafting settlement. And I shit you not, before logging out, I swear to God, there was a RMT bot in this town. Who's still buying gold for this game? That's a bot, right? It has to be a bot. Anyway, that was day one. Day two was going to be a lot more exciting. And in case you're wondering, I was up until 3 AM playing this game, and I'm a grown man with responsibilities and a job. So please, like the video, because I lost hours of sleep for your viewing pleasure. So day two, and good news, the game loaded. All servers were still available and the population was still low. Steam charts had a count as 799 players. And to my surprise, the guy from yesterday was stood in the exact same spot.
Oh, hi, Mark.
There was also another player behind them. So I said hello because this is a social MMO, right? Wrong, it's a dead MMO where people just log out and never come back. As I crossed the bridge, I noticed something in the distance. A tree had been cut down, which could only mean one thing.
Cheeseburgers.
Or another player. But by the time I got over there, I had apparently lost them. So I just sent a message in area saying hi, and guess what? Still no response. I'm starting to think I'm the problem. So instead of socializing, I decided to kill some mobs instead because I felt it was important that I reached level 5. And I also handed in some quests to try and break up the monotony of just grinding a dead MMO. I do love me some dead MMOs. I did eventually catch up to the Phantom Tree fella, and it looked like another fresh player from China. I swear to God, there's going to be more bots than players by the end of this game. Someone asked in global chat if anyone's still playing, and they got a swift reply of no. I think it takes a certain level of commitment to play a game as dead as this one, but more on that a bit later. I don't know what the plural terminology is for a group of griffins, but I came across what could only be described as a clusterfuck amount of griffins.
Look at all those chickens!
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the spawn timers have broken on the mobs. So I took full advantage and got myself to level 5. This now meant I could talk in global chat. I figured the best approach would be to treat the game like I didn't know what was happening. So first up, I asked which was the best node to go to, and most importantly, how populated was it? Stating that as a new player raised suspicions because you couldn't buy the game on Steam anymore.
You got me.
But I assured them I bought it a few weeks back and have only just logged on. When I asked why the game was delisted, I got told it went arse up, which I think is a polite way of putting it, and to be honest, the fallout from it all, well, it was a bit dramatic.
I feel unbelievably ashamed of myself, and I was going to just like, I was gonna maybe quit YouTube.
Ashes of creation is a scare! Holy! What the hell? $120 for this shit? What the fuck, bro? Hell yeah!
Funny enough, I got referred to YouTube to catch up on all the drama, And just for context, on the Ashes of Creation Nephis drama scale, we were at this stage.
For $23.99, I got a 310 Nutrition Ashes of Creation men's t-shirt. And of course, that really cool water bottle.
Call me crazy, but I was tempted to buy merch. When asked is it even worth playing the game, I pretty much got told not to bother because there's no population and all the mobs are bugged out. Honestly, it was weird how many people I encountered in the open world who just didn't talk back to me. They can't all have been bots, surely. I honestly just get the feeling that they just don't want to play with anyone. And if anything, the game closing down has actually made the game more enjoyable for them. I ran into Heavy Man again, and despite being dead, he wasn't letting it hold him back. It's such a strange name for a player that it makes me think it's like a mod or maybe a glitched out test account. When trying to whisper them, I got an error. Maybe he was a ghost. I asked in Zone Chat what the story was with Heavy Man, and they said he's been spotted floating all across the map, and someone pointed out that the servers used to get reset every couple of days, and it's been over a week, which was not a good sign. Someone in chat stated that their guildmate uninstalled the game not too long ago, and yet they'd seen their body floating about. I expected the servers to be broken, I just didn't expect that they'd be haunted by past players. But anyway, it was late and I was getting tired, so I called it a day. Also, is that another RMT bot? Like, honestly? So good news, day 3, the servers were still up and my boy Max J was still here, which made me actually think he wasn't here and was a ghost. And as for the wider world of Vera, the game was still pretty buggy. I was still pretending to be oblivious to the news of Ashes of Creation's shutdown, and I get the feeling that some people were still hopeful that it might not happen. This optimism wasn't reflected in the player numbers though, as the population had dropped by another 100 people. I asked what would happen if the server crashed, and the grim truth is, the game ends. But hey, maybe the new owners will restart the servers, right? Right? At this point, it was estimated the servers had been without a restart for 9 days, which realistically is pretty pathetic. I mean, it's an MMO, it's supposed to be online 24/7. If your servers can't even handle a couple of days of uptime, then what the fuck have you been doing? I asked if anyone knew what the other servers were like, and allegedly they were having the exact same issues. I was curious as to what everyone's plans were when this game eventually dies, and someone in the chat said the Elder Scrolls Online. I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than play that game, but for the sake of staying undercover, I said maybe I'll give it a go. I have to say though, for a dead MMO, it seemed quite social in the global chat, and so far talking to these people, it had actually been a pleasant experience, and I wholeheartedly wish them the best of luck finding a new MMO to play, even if it is the Elder Scrolls Online. But anyway, I got to level 6 and I called it a night. Day 4 was very uninspiring. There were some ghosts haunting the server, the global chat was practically dead, and I have a slight confession to make.
It came! It finally came!
I like morbid stuff, and I bought myself a Ashes of Creation mouse mat. Okay, yes, I gave more money to the scammers, but this is a one-of-a-kind purchase. You will not be able to find this in a couple months' time. It's day 5, so let's ask the servers how they feel.
Mr. 5, tell us how you feel.
How do I feel? I feel alive!
By the way, if you get that reference, you are old as fuck. And also, did you know in the popular movie Short Circuit, which is where the clip is from, the Indian guy
I'm not understanding that reference.
is played by a white guy and does the most racist accent you've ever heard. Anyway, back to the video. Today's mission, to see if Jova was as popular as people said it was. The journey over was simple enough, but the global chat did seem a bit dead today. I encountered a couple of ghosts on the way over, and yeah, it looked like they was having a whale of a time. And once again, for no clear-cut reason, my game decided to die the minute I started to enter Jova. Must be because it's so populated. As I made my way further into town, I did come across 2 players. Well, I say players, they were the ghosts of players who once played this tragic game.
I'm dying. Help me.
I did see a player near the storage clerk and honestly couldn't tell if they were AFK or not until eventually they ran away. Felt a bit antisocial if I'm being honest. Anyway, it was late, I needed to go to bed, and I figured this would be a good spot to log off at. Day 6 was a huge day for me because I left it really late to log on because I was working on another video, so I just went on quickly to make sure the servers were still up and running. They were. Day 7, it was Valentine's Day, so I went looking for love in Ashes of Creation. That was very much a joke. The town did seem busy though, there was one other player here. And whilst on an adventure to find somewhere to go fishing, someone in area chat seemed surprised that the servers were still running. So I did my best to welcome them in. By the way, it was Valentine's morning, not Valentine's night, so this isn't cringe or weird.
And ban the sawman guy. Ban the sawman guy right now. Get him out.
But yes, I spent day 7 doing some fishing and catching up on the Nefes drama scale. We'd moved up from hearsay to accusations of embezzlement.
Over $105 million of debt. The total amount of investments I'm seeing in these private documents so far is a staggering amount of over $105 million. None of which seems to have come from Stephen Sharif.
So in the space of a week, we'd gone from Stephen Sharif being fired by the board of directors who we didn't even know existed, and it just sounded like some sort of cop-out, to the board of directors suing Stephen Sharif, which did wonders for the player count. And let's be honest, the Steam numbers were always suspect because of the amount of bots that there were in game. I can't wait to see what Valentine's Night brings. Okay, it was now officially Valentine's Night, and I wasn't alone.
What the hell is even that?
I had no idea who the fuck this was, and can you believe it? When I tried to say hello to them, say it with me now, they ignored me. I'm starting to see why there is a male loneliness epidemic. One thing I didn't expect on Valentine's evening was for someone to come in and try and bully people in global chat.
Go buy some cosmetics. Live Steven's dream. Like a good goyim.
Like, believe me, I get the sentiment. Let's laugh at the funny people still playing the dead game. But this was Valentine's evening, and this guy was logging in to laugh at the people playing the dead game, and then was trying to be some sort of edgelord. And before you try and paint me with the same brush by saying, I'm just as sad for logging in on Valentine's Day evening, I had sex with your mother before logging on. But anyway, no one really spoke after that, and I just went exploring some more because I had nothing better to do in my day, because I'd already spent all day having sex with your mum. I did find another floating corpse, which also made the game stutter. And do you know what's stranger than one floating corpse in the middle of the road? You guessed it, 2 floating corpses. Anyway, I'd reached my destination, which was Winstead. I did have some plans for tomorrow as to some things I wanted to check out, but for now, I was going to go to bed because I was tired from all the sex with your mother. Okay, so I'm skipping ahead a little bit because basically the last couple of days I logged in, I didn't really log in for long, just to make sure the servers were still up and running and that I wasn't missing anything too big. So we are skipping slightly ahead to day 11, where I went on a bit of an adventure. But first, a quick update. On the Nefes Ashes of Creation drama scale, we'd gone from here all the way up to here, where the other investors were basically slagging off Steven.
You can go fuck John with a dirty dick, you fucking piece of shit. And that was when he was here at my house.
Okay.
I'm not a homophobe, and I'm not anything. I'm just like, you know, people don't know my life story, so
Sure.
anyone wants to call me a homophobe, they can say whatever they want. But, you know, my dad divorced my mom, was gay, and died of AIDS, and my brother's gay. So there's genetic code in my family DNA of homosexuality. And I believed in Steven regardless of his sex.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
So yeah, that was going on in the background, and the player numbers were still dropping. So on today's episode of Shit That Was Weird, I ran into Heavy Man, who was alive, and someone doing a caravan run. I'm starting to think Heavy Man is a mod, but I have no proof. I said hello to this guy, and he stopped for a second, looked at me, and then carried on walking away. Is it me? Am I the problem? Do I spell? Why do people not want to talk to me? Moving on, I decided to check out some points of interest. First up was this glowy rock formation, which did absolutely fuck all. And it made me wonder, why is this here? What is the point in this place? I could see a Elden Ring looking tree in the distance, along with a big tower, so I set this as my next destination. The tower is called the Tower of Carfin. It's a big plot point in the game, supposedly, and you need to be quite high level to go there. But I wanted to check out anyway, because if the mobs are glitched out, then maybe I could just run past everything. As I got closer, the music turned creepy and the sky turned red. So I made sure to set my respawn point just outside, because I have a feeling I might die. The plan was simple: get on my horse, run past everything, make it to the tower. And to be fair, the enemies weren't that much higher than me, but I had been neglecting my leveling as of late because I was bored of grinding. As I suspected, none of the enemies were even bothered by me, so I carried on exploring, and then I made a fatal mistake. I forgot about ranged attacks, and I thought I'd managed to get away with it, but then apparently I didn't. I think I was poisoned. How fucking annoying. I thought maybe my horse was the problem, so I went back in on foot. The horse was not the problem. And I tried to sneak around, which didn't go well either. I didn't even see anything hit me that time. So I fucked it off and decided to come back another day. Now, I'm not one to nitpick, but look at this stupid box. Even the fence looked out of place, and honestly, I couldn't tell if this was a server issue or something that's always been an issue. Comment below if you know. I'm very interested to find out. Anyway, I headed over to Mirrorlith. It was pretty much another dead ghost town, and I logged out for the day. Day 12, and I woke up in Mirrorlith, and it was very much dead. Not even the mayor of Mirrorlith was here to play the game, and he had a flying mount. I checked the map to see if there's any point of interest nearby, and obviously there was the desert, but I felt like I might be a little bit too low level to go explore there. So I opted for the knockoff Elden Ring tree. And upon closer inspection, it was on fire. Wow, such lore. I climbed over a wall to see if I could get close to it, ran past some high level enemies, and got right up close to the tree, which did nothing. There was no real reason to come here. Again, I'm guessing there's some sort of hidden quest, or it's just here simply for display. I went slightly further afield and found an event to compete in, and the mobs here were extremely glitched out and bunched together. So, slight issue, I didn't have any AoE attacks. I literally had one, but it had like a cooldown of 10 seconds. Otherwise, it was pretty much single target attacks. So even low level shit was just tedious to clear. And further on into the event was more of the same. But eventually, after much perseverance and patience, I completed the event. And my reward? 4 glint.
Police. Get what you fucking deserve!
Why is this game so shit? What a waste of time. I'm glad it's closing down. Like, that event literally took me half hour, and I got 4 fucking glint for it. One enemy drops 4 glint. and people are shocked this game is closing down. After wasting what seemed like a lifetime doing the event, I found somewhere peaceful to log out in hope that the servers would die tomorrow. Day 14 and the game was still up and running. I headed over to Winstead and banked some items. It was actually kind of crazy how much junk I was collecting, not that I had any real use for it, which is when I decided I should probably try and craft something, right? So I headed out of town to gather some materials. Side note, look at these roads, they look awful. I'm assuming this is a server issue. I went on to spend the next hour collecting flowers and rocks, and went back to Winstead to refine them and logged out for the day. It had been over 2 weeks now since the official Ashes of Creation crash out, and to my surprise, the servers were still going strong-ish. I did my usual routine of saying hello in chat, which for some reason got me an invite to a group, so of course I accepted it. I also got a whisper from someone saying, "Why are you here?"
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I'm not sure if they knew who I was or whether they were just curious as to why someone is talking in zone chat. Either way, they told me to go get a refund. And as for the party I was invited to, I had no idea where they were. Apparently, they were at the Calf Farm. I think that's the Tower of Calfin. You know, place I kept dying at. So, yeah, I had no intentions of going there. As for Furia here, they just logged on to see who was still playing. Morbid curiosity gets the best of everyone. Either way, this was quite a busy day for me. I'd not seen the game be this social, well, for a few weeks now. So of all these active users, you're probably wondering, what was the player count that day? And I'm happy to inform you, it was at 200 across 7 servers. There was then a cryptic message in zone chat. Leilana put a message in chat saying Hauk is a don't go near. Jova streets are covered in grass, all going down fast. I didn't quite understand at the time what they meant by this message, but in a couple of days, it's going to become very obvious. It didn't seem like much was going on, so I finished up talking to Furia and I logged off for the day. Day 17 and my hair was detaching from my head again. Which begs the question, server issue or has this always been a problem? The population was now down to 149.
He's already dead.
And whilst in the middle of crafting myself some gear, the age-old question of is anyone here got asked in global chat. It seems like a lot of people were logging in and checking to see if the servers were up or if they'd been fixed yet. The latest Ashes of Creation drama was that there were multiple court cases going on, which gave hope to some people that maybe, just maybe, the servers would get rebooted. I think being alone for so long was starting to have an effect on my mental health. It's best we make peace before the great shutdown of 2026. It's a peaceful game, but it's all I have. I was getting fully into the roleplay of a sad degenerate who still played Ashes of Creation. Wait, was that roleplay? There's been rumors circulating that the Great Sharif has been seen flying overhead at certain times of day. Between us, we came to the realization that with no people working at the company, there was no one to moderate the chat. It's not racist if it's written down though, right? I'm gonna do it. Ready? Mudblood. Fun fact, I actually got banned from a Harry Potter RP server on Gary's mod for calling myself Mudblood. I'm sorry you guys had to hear that. The global chat conversations never seemed to last for long. People would just dip in to see what was going on and then get bored and leave, which meant none of my actual questions ever got answered. But anyway, that concluded another day in Vera. On the 18th and 19th day, I just logged in and didn't really do too much. I did, however, reach level 8, only another 17 and I'll be max rank. I made my way over to the Halicon node, said hello in area chat, which got 0 response, briefly checked the progress of the other nodes in hope that maybe one of them was still active, and then I logged out. And little did I know that the following day was going to change everything. Technically, I had missed day 20 because I logged on so late in the night, and I tell you now, I was not prepared for what was about to happen. It was just another normal night in Vera with my head detaching from my body, and I was doing the usual round of just making sure everything was working, for the most part. I put in the standard greeting of just saying hello to the whole chat to see who was online, when Silent Sagas here said that there's only a few settlements left. I assumed they meant population-wise, so I asked which settlements, and then they gave a little bit more detail, to which I asked how many people do you think are left on the server, and they said less than 10. And then they pointed out that you can't go anywhere other than the settlements that they listed, but he never listed Haleycon, and I was there. Apparently, if you went to any of the out-of-bound places, you would get teleported to somewhere safe. They seemed genuinely surprised when I said I was in Haleycon. And apparently, anyone who logged out at Haleycon in the past 5 days hasn't been able to log back in. I feel truly blessed. I told them I've been logging in for the last few days with no issues. They went to check on their alt and still couldn't log in, which means I was the last one alive in Haleycon. Small achievement. They generally thought I was trolling, so they invited me to a party, and yeah, I was there, and they were surprised. So they issued me a challenge to go check on Jova to see if I could make it there, because that place was apparently gone. And, well, in the name of science, I went and did just that. So I set out on my destination to Jova, and to be honest, I probably should have thought more about the implications. If what they were saying was true, then this perhaps would be the last time I'd ever see Haleycon or its surrounding areas. But also, what did this mean in terms of the big picture? Were the servers finally about to kill over? Was there actually only 10 people left on the server? And that's when it happened. I was teleported out of the area to a safe location. And I have to say, I didn't feel very
I'm scared
safe.
to death. I'm frightened and I don't know what to do. I'm confused and I want to go home.
I may have acted a little bit too hasty and attuned myself to the Ember Spring which was close by, which meant I wouldn't respawn anywhere near Haleycon now if I died, which could have been a good thing or a bad thing, I guess I'll never know. However, the teleportation did put me closer to Jova, and it was just round the corner. Houston, we have a problem. It's Jova. That's what's left of Jova. It might explain why no one can teleport into that town. Funny enough, betas were still here, and I hadn't actually realised, but the seasons had changed. When I was here earlier, it was more summery, and now it is autumn. And as I got closer, it seemed to be struggling to render in the environment. And once again, I was teleported to safety. I explained in the global chat as to what happened, and they stated that usually when this happens, people get error code 37, which basically means they're stuck. They can't log into the game anymore. And luckily, I hadn't encountered that. It kind of felt like I was playing Fortnite with the mist slowly closing in, and truth be told, I had an aim to be the last person standing. So I asked where was safe to go because I want to be here to the very end. Another person stated they made an ult because they lost their other character on a different server. So, good news, all the servers were encountering the same issue. So death must have been only a few days away, right? So in memory of one of the greatest Ashes of Creation content creators who ever existed, I decided to head to the desert because I wanted to know for sure if it was real. As lame as it sounds, this is the most excitement I've had playing Ashes of Creation because at any moment it could end. It almost felt like a hardcore playthrough. All three of us were now in a party together just so we can track each other's progress and mainly to see how far I'd get before I failed. It seemed as though my troubles were now behind me though, and I had made it out the mist and was now in the eye of the storm. I made it to a small settlement by the water, which was newly added in as part of the Steam release, and from here you can commission a boat and go across the ocean. The only issue is, I didn't have enough materials to build a boat. So I opted for that classic transportation method, horseboat. I was excited to inform the others. It's worth noting as well that the ocean is a lawless zone, which means you instantly flag for PvP. Not that it actually matters, because there's no one around. Horseboat, it's a vibe. I won't lie, this took an age. But eventually, I had reached the shores of the desert. I was once again excited to tell my companions. I'm probably going to get flack for this, but it just seems so stupid and forced the way the desert just merges with this grassland. It's like there's no real introduction to it. It's just like, line in the sand, here's the desert. I decided to take one last look at the Elden Ring tree, just in case it was the last time I ever see it. Plus, I could do with a decent thumbnail. It had been over 21 days, and now the game was starting to look like it was ready to close down. Things weren't working, players couldn't log in, the server population was at an all-time low. But I was excited to see what the future held for this game. What would tomorrow bring? Would there even be a tomorrow? I guess there was only one way to find out. Hey. The servers were still up. So with limited time, I decided to go explore the desert some more. And first up was the beautiful node of Sunhaven, which was essentially the same as every other node, as it was just a copy and paste job. If I was a better man, I'd say these NPCs aren't going anywhere. Would it really have been that difficult to make a camel instead of a horse? I really like the mix of palm trees and oak trees. Definitely 10 out of 10 immersion. Oh, we have a dead body here, everyone. Dead body.
See, nobody cares.
Nothing wrong with this scene here, perfectly fine. I'll put the question out there. Server jank or just janky game? I take it right back. They are making progress. I didn't realize this, but a couple of mayors, fuck's sake. Mayors of the town had left messages for people to read before they vanished. I misplaced the clip showing all the messages. I only have this one, so just take my word for it. It was finally time to go and explore the desert. There was some risk involved though, because the enemies here were quite high level, and I was still level 8. And furthermore, they were quite packed together. I did manage to navigate my way through the horde of enemies. Luckily, I've got a few years experience playing Minesweeper. And on yonder horizon, the game looked quite interesting. There was certainly some POIs I want to go visit. I was getting suspicious though, because there were no enemies around me. And last time the inhabitants disappeared, well, yeah, that happened. It would seem that some sections of the desert were now off limits. So I opted to go a slightly different route, with the aim to maybe try and go through the ocean. I mean, I know the servers are broken, but it can't be that broken, right?
Fuck.
I figured at this point, the coast probably wasn't the best idea, so I decided to try and cut through this Death Valley looking place. But that was also a no-go. I couldn't help but feel like the walls were closing in on me, and maybe I was taking a few liberties by even coming to the desert in the first place. I mean, if a town like Jova can just fall, what's to say Sunhaven wouldn't be next? I'd already wasted over an hour exploring the desert, or shall I say getting kicked from the desert, and I wasn't sure if the servers would even be up tomorrow. I didn't fancy my chances of logging out in Sunhaven, so I actually made my way back towards the start. Not all the way, I just wanted to have a good view as I logged out. Also, this whole time, no one spoke up in zone chat. I felt like the end was near. I gave the Steam charts a quick glance before bed, and it said 71 players. Day 24, a new month. I did log in the previous day, but I didn't really get up to much. I just made sure the servers were online, which they were, so I just logged out. Don't worry about day 23. Day 24 is when shit got exciting. I'd made the executive decision to leave the desert and go back to the starting zone because I figured it would be the last place left standing, surely. It was a strange feeling heading back to where it all begun, and also there was lots of otters. Lots and lots of otters. I'm sure there's no gay metaphor here.
Wait a minute, what's an otter?
Subsection of bear. Still hairy, but where a bear generates his power through sheer mass alone, the otter generates his power through extraordinary quickness, cunning, and skill.
I had made it to the start zone, and there was a omen in the sky. I figured I should probably go find a nice quiet spot to go die, because inevitably the servers will be shutting down soon. It was the end of the month, the server bill probably hasn't been paid, and the news of Ashes of Creation shutting down had now gone mainstream. So I headed over to one of the spots I'd spent quite a lot of time in, and I'm sure other people had spent quite a lot of time here too. And no, it wasn't Briarmore Farm. I mean, I couldn't even go there if I wanted to. It was ye old AFK fishing spot, although it is quite concerning that Briarmore Farm is now off limits. Also, is it me, or does that big ball of flames in the sky look like it's getting closer? As I reached the shore, I was met with some slow rendering times and a sense of disappointment. I was not in fact the last person on the server. So of course I made my introduction, and despite being the only 2 people left playing this game on this server, they still didn't talk back to me. I shit you not, they waited like a whole minute before replying back to me. But the main thing was, they did reply back to me. There was still hope for this game. Well, technically not. We shared intel with each other. We both came to the same conclusion, which is, we are fucked. Rochambeau asked me if Winstead was still accessible. I said I wasn't sure and asked if he wanted to join me. It was at this point I tapped out like a fucking idiot, and by the time I got back into the game, he just ran off. He said, and I quote, "Going to craft a bit. Let me know what you find, please." This guy, despite facing the inevitable doom that's coming, was more interested in crafting than going on an adventure. We were the last 2 people on the server, and he didn't even want to hang out with me. You know what that does to someone's self-esteem? I've been playing for over 20 days. We were the last 2 fucking people, and I'm still so unlikable that he wants to play a dead MMO by himself. I mean, fair play, but that made me feel awful. But the depression passed quick, because do you know who I found? That's right, Heavy Man. Heavy Man was there at the start, and he was there at the end, and he never judged me. And I was happy to see him still being whatever the fuck he's being. Can we get some love for Heavy Man in the comments section? Like, everyone just spam Heavy Man. I decided to go explore some more and see what the limitations were. At this point, Briarmore, which was pretty close by, was basically one side of the perimeter. Rochambeau actually whispered me and said good luck on Winstead. I think I might have judged him a bit too quickly. He is a decent guy. Fair play to him. Maybe in a strange twist of fate, the Tower of Carthin would be the last accessible place. It could be like a PvP Battle Royale MMO, like an apocalypse sort of thing. On second thoughts, that seems like a really stupid idea. Yeah, this was not looking good. I couldn't even go that far north of this area. It seems like the map had shrunk quite considerably at this point. I asked Rochambeau if he knew the state of the other servers, and he said it wasn't looking good. We both knew what was coming. It was obvious that the servers probably had a day left in them, if that. And it's crazy to think that one little reboot would fix all these issues, and there was just no one left to do it. It was over. Looking at the map, my last hope was probably to head back to the desert, or maybe go towards Lion's Hold. But I'll be honest, I didn't really want to leave my little fishing spot. I had loads of memories here. Yes, they were AFK memories, but still, they were memories. I wanted to get a sense of the boundary, so I went across the river just to have an understanding as to how far east I could go. And I didn't even make it all the way across. My world was getting smaller. I let Rochambeau know that the river was basically a no-go. I did try and head back to the desert. I didn't take the exact same route as last time. I thought I'll just go alongside the river this time, but even that was futile. And considering where I just got kicked from, I don't even know if the desert was safe at this point. It feels like that might be the next area to go. Maybe the safest thing to do was to stay put. So I wished Rochambeau good luck and I logged off. Hopefully we'd see each other tomorrow. And if not, at least I logged out in a nice spot. The very next day, I got a code 37. My time playing Ashes of Creation was seemingly over. I tried to create a new character, I tried logging on with old characters, I even switched servers several times, and I couldn't play. 2nd of March 2026 was the last time I played Ashes of Creation. There were other players who claimed they played on for longer than the 2nd of March, even up until the website closing down and the game literally being inaccessible on the 13th of March. After the 2nd of March, I did spend the whole week trying to log in hope that maybe I'll get onto the servers, but it never happened. And there's been multiple talks about the servers coming back online, and maybe, just maybe, if Steven wins the court case or this other company takes over, then they'll try again with Ashes of Creation. Because everyone wants to invest in a game which couldn't even afford to pay the server fees, couldn't afford to pay their staff, and never hit that 1 million concurrent players that was promised on first day of release on Steam. This game is never coming back, and if it does come back, you'd have to be batshit crazy to trust anyone trying to sell you this game. But overall, I had a good journey. I got my money's worth from playing Ashes of Creation. I didn't enjoy all my time playing it, but I did enjoy the experience. And you know what? Even towards the end, it was certainly a game I never expected it to be. It became more than just an MMO. It became a battle royale survival. But in all seriousness, if you got this far in the video, thank you for watching. As I've said before, you guys are what motivates me to make these videos, especially you guys who get to this point in the video. You're the real stars. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, hit the like button, because if this doesn't get any views, doesn't get any likes, well, I'm just never going to cover up Ashes of Creation ever again, am I? But in all seriousness, you guys are stars. Thank you for watching. Feel free to give extra support by becoming a YouTube member or a Patreon member. And with that, I'll see you in the next Dead MMO.